Hello, my name is Carlos Rio. I'm one of the directors of the PDGA Europe board, and I'm here with Brian Hoeniger, and he has been the international director for many years. And Brian, you've been around for a long time. How has your position and your job changed through the years?
Well, this is coming to the end of year 27. When I started in January 1997, I was the sole employee with the title of administrator. I was promoted to the organization's first executive director in 2002. I served in that position for 5 years, moved to Georgia, USA with my wife, who was the then memberships manager. And in 2007, when the International Disc Golf Center project was completed, she and I moved back to Canada, and I took on the helm of the international program, which I and a then board member had designed, and my title changed to International Director. So I have served in that role now for 16 years, and during which time the PDGA's number of partner countries has grown from its initial 2, being USA and Canada, to 50 worldwide.
You've been around a lot and you've seen a lot of things, and what's in your opinion the difference between PDGA USA Canada and PDGA Europe?
The main difference is in USA and Canada, PDGA is both the international association and the national association. And what that means, that is one of the major reasons why people have the perception that the PDGA has more activities in North America than it does in the rest of the world. And you know, it's important to clarify why that is. So in North America, we are playing the role of, for instance, in Finland, what the Finnish National Association would do in addition to PDGA's activities in Finland and in the other countries. The second thing is the fee structure is substantially different between North America and the rest of the world. And that goes to the fact that money is more at the center of the sport in North America, whereas the European model of sports is more based on the Olympic model of professionalism in terms of comportment and appearance and so on. But what it means is the membership fees are substantially higher in USA and Canada because we're collecting as both the International and National Association, and there are other fee structures that contribute significantly to the PDGA's coffers and enable us to do the level of programming that we do primarily in USA and Canada. And by here I'm talking about per player fees at tournaments and the non-member fees that enable non-members to play in C tiers. And that is one of the most significant sources of the organization's income. That same income has allowed us to undertake activities in some of the areas of the world where the money is simply not there on the local level to be able to truly introduce and develop the sport in a sustainable way.
Okay, thank you. And this takes us to next question, and that would be, what, in your opinion, is the current situation of PDGA International?
Well, I mean, in Europe, we now have a board of directors, we have a staff, we have 22,000 members this year and more than 2,000 events, partnering with 29 countries. And of course, it's the Europeans who are making that happen through the national associations, through the TDs, through all the other volunteers who have helped build the sport in those countries. Now, beyond Europe, we have activities in different models. In Latin America, we hired a Latin America coordinator earlier this year, Luis Rodriguez, who's doing a tremendous job helping us build the game in places like Cuba, Venezuela, supporting the development of the sport in countries that are a little more advanced there, like Mexico and Colombia. So that is one model. And the other thing in Latin America is that it is easy to have a unified front because the language is Spanish across the entire continent, with the exception of Brazil, which of course has the sister language of Portuguese. So that certainly facilitates communication and experience across the entire region. In Asia, a different model. I mean, you have the long-established countries like Japan and Taiwan, and then you have a number of countries, particularly in Southeast Asia, like Taiwan, Laos, Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Singapore, where by and large the sport has been introduced by Americans and Europeans who have moved there, married locals, and loved the culture that is Southeast Asia, the food, the climate, and so on. So that's a different model. And one of the things I think we really need to do there, that it's going to be a priority of mine and in the next while, is to build a PDGA Asia committee. One of the activities that I think that has the most potential is organizing an Asian championship similar to the European championships for Asians only. And then you have new big players on the block. China has been established for several years now, and the next potential country with huge implications is India, both of those countries, of course, having over 1 billion people. Then we look at Africa, where we have a different model. Africa, with all due respect, I lived there for many years, it's very dear to my heart, is a country that needs more assistance in terms of the resources based on the standard of living and the availability of money in general. And after some experimentation, the model that we are using predominantly in Africa is to partner with Paul Macbeth Foundation and UPlay, because they have become experts in introducing and building in a sustainable manner the sport in countries that are not quite as fortunate as some of the others. And most notably, this is taking place in Uganda and Kenya, where UPlay, a large team of Uganda, in fact, is at this moment. And before I finish on Africa, I want to mention that there is a transplanted American there who is doing a fantastic job in Kenya. If you guys, I'm sure some of you have seen the photos of this course on the wilderness preserve just outside of Kenya, which belongs, with the land of which belongs to the Maasai family of Kevin Becker from Ohio's wife. And this is going to be a fantastic winter destination, which is when they have their tournaments. And it is another extremely cool thing that is happening in Africa. Of course, South Africa is traditionally the wealthiest Africa country, and they have a national association with a growing tournament scene there. The last continent that I want to mention is Asia Oceania, which is, of course, predominantly Australia and New Zealand. They, of course, are highly westernized and wealthy countries, so the scene there is much more comparable to North America and to Europe. And next year is going to be particularly exciting in that part of the world, because New Zealand is going to run a big Northern Hemisphere winter, Southern Hemisphere summer tour that they hope to attract a lot of touring pros to. And then next door in Australia, they're revitalizing not only the Australian Open later in the year, so November, December, but they're also the hosts of the WIFDIF World Team Championships. So that's a synopsis of what's going on in the rest of the world. And of course, PDGA is involved in and supporting all these activities that I've just mentioned. And it's just, it's very enheartening to watch the game take shape in new countries around the world and truly evolve from a highly westernized sport to a global sport.
All right, thank you, Brian, for being here and explaining this to us, so we actually understand what PDGA International does.
Thank you, everyone, and we look forward to continuing to grow the sport around the world.